so let me get my presentation together. I was trying to load it, but for some reason I'm not doing something correct. So we're going to go another route. Okay, let's see. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving holiday and weekend with your family, friends, or just relaxing. However, you made it work for you. I hope it was satisfying. And you probably do have some leftovers. But we are going to get started on tonight's topic, which is a good one. So, if you guys are taking notes, that will be very beneficial. Um, and for those of you who has their Notary Public Journal, because this is always great to have as a reference whenever we're going through these meetings, because the information is here in most cases when you're dealing with the general statutes as well as the administrative code from the Secretary of State. So again, this will be very helpful for you guys to have in hand when we refer to it periodically. So let me share my screen and save. You can want to save your questions until the end so we can actually make sure we can get through everything in a timely fashion. And hold on one moment, I gotta do one thing. Let me see here. Okay. All right, so the topic is don't get caught up with the fluff, or you may walk away in cuffs. So this is literally speaking because there's a story that has happened that caught my attention because it's here in North Carolina. It was just recent, and it's someone that I know, not as close. I once knew them because we went to school together. So as we go along with this, then you'll start seeing a little bit more of what I'm talking about. So the court case is called State versus Parias, a warning for Robeson County and beyond. So Robeson County is the county that I'm from before I moved to Cumberland County after graduating high school, going into the military. And a classmate sent me this information last week after our TNT. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, this is what we're going to talk about this week. So um, when it comes to just going through what you can expect. Again, welcome those that are new and those that have come for maybe once or twice. This is one of the ways that we go through and conduct our meetings is usually having a topic of discussion, something that can hopefully help you along your notary journey so that you can take away information that can actually help you to some degree, whether it's to share with other people or for you to actually take heed of it for yourself. Um, we often talk about best practices. This will be the same today. And when it comes to this particular topic, is going to be about a real estate transaction that went wrong, resulting into multiple criminal charges. And so you want to make sure that you're not one of the notaries that get caught up in the fluff when you have something that's probably sounds too good to be true. And then, of course, just understanding and remembering what your laws say. Always adhere to exactly what's right. And that way you can stay out of a situation that can cause you your freedom. So again, our freedom is not free. We have to still abide by laws and rules and regulations. So um, in this case, the defendant is Pernella Parias, the lady that's showing her mugshot here. In Robeson County, she is a criminal that's part of a fraudulent real estate transfer involving a warranty deed. Now, you hear a lot of issues about deed fraud. This is one of these examples. And again, no one can escape. I should say, it's not something that anyone particularly can actually avoid unless you understand what it is that you're working with, and that way you can actually know when to refuse a notarization as well. That is really important. So this happened back in October or November. Again, just a month or two ago, right? So anytime something happens, just know someone is going to find there's a problem and they're going to be looking for you. Um, when it comes to the defendant, again, Pernella Parias, this involved a warranty deed purporting to convey title to real property in Fairmont, North Carolina. That's where I went to school. The goal of the scheme was to obtain property valued at less than $100,000. While the property value might seem modest to some, the legal price paid by those involved was astronomical. Because you're thinking about who is the victim in this case, right? I'm trying to get my slide to move. All right. So with the charges, there's forgery and there were false pretense. So you have forgery of deeds or wills, which is a felony. Also, count two, obtaining property by false pretense, another felony. Then you had uttering forged endorsements, that's also a felony. So, with the defendant faced a lot of felony charges for one. First, the forgery. They unlawfully and falsely made an endorsement on a deed with the intent to injure and defraud. All right. And then the second, the false pretense. They knowingly presented this forged and crucially fraudulently notarized deed to the Register of Deeds to transfer ownership. And then three, uttering, they delivered this forged document to an attorney representing it as true and valid deed. So again, there's several counts here, okay, that this person's been charged with. Now, in the context, and this is something that was on the um, police department's site on social media, woman arrested after assisting fugitive husband wanted on felony child sex charges. Accomplice charged in false notarization of land transfer documents without the fugitive present. And then the fugitive remains at large, meaning that he's out on the loose. I don't know if they caught him yet, but hopefully that will be soon taken care of. So, the notary's role and the fatal error. And this is something that I want you all to really um, pay attention to, because sometimes we just think, oh, I know who that is. So they don't have to be here in front of me. Don't do that, because anything can happen where if you're in court and now you're having to state what happened, if that person did not personally appear before you and there's no true way of proving it, when it comes to timestamp, the date, location, all of those things are very important when it comes to recording information in our journal. This is something that if a person may have been in a vehicle, they have passed a stoplight that has recorded their action, they can't be in two places at the same time. So, once again, you have to think about future situations that may occur that could be not in your favor. So, with the count one, aiding and abetting notary fraud, there's the file number if you want to look more into it, because the court case is still going. So, the key phrase, without the personal appearance of the principal. Please, again, understand that is our first that's our first responsibility when we're identifying someone, is to make sure they're personally there in front of us, unless it's a situation dealing with a subscribing witness. So this is the most important slide for you to actually pay attention to. And the notary that's been charged, her name is Carolyn M. Stone. As you can see, she is a senior. She is um she is, I think, 73 years old, and she's been a notary since 1994. So, you understanding that she's been a notary for 31 years, this is a felony charge or charges against her, and she's an elderly citizen. But it's unfortunate that she is also a public official that deliberately committed fraud because she didn't follow the number one responsibility that we hold is to personally identify someone. It says the defendant, Pariah, is charged with aiding and abetting notary fraud for soliciting and inducing this notary to commit official misconduct. What was the specific misconduct? The notary notarized a deed without the personal appearance of the principal. Because the notary bypassed the requirement of physical presence, a forged signature was allowed to pass as legitimate. Once again, we have the first form of defense to protect the public and ourselves. And if we're not doing our due diligence to properly identify someone, this can easily be us. So we want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position or jeopardizing our freedom. That's the most important. Okay. Um, Having a slap on the wrist to have your commission removed or revoked or suspended, that's light compared to prison. So again, you want to make sure that you're taking the time to read, to actually understand and follow through all the things that is very important for us to follow because again, this is a serious offense. It always is. And this is why you want to make sure you take the time to really again abide by the laws for notaries. So these are the things that can help you kind of get an idea of the mechanics of what has all happened where there was a notary that was solicited. All right. The defendant allegedly influenced a notary public to commit official misconduct. And then number two, they bypassed personal appearance. The notary was induced to notarize a deed without the proper or without the property owner physical presence. And again, that should have been done without a question. Number three, the fixed forged signature. A forged signature was placed on a warranty deed to fraudulently convey property. And again, this is a huge crime that's happening over the entire U.S. Okay. And again, dealing with Robinson County is such a small town, or I should say a small county, all right, with a lot of different towns. But it's just the fact that, again, it's not excluded from anything. And then number four, they recorded the fraudulent deed. So the forged deed was filed with the register of deeds to officially obtain the property. So again, this from the beginning to the end, it was a full transaction. All right. So again, there's a victim here because someone who owns the property no longer really actually have it in their name until they go through correcting these problems. So consequences and intent. So the legal language here is heavy. The acts were described as being done for the sake of gain. All right. So ask yourselves, is the small fee we collect for a notarization or the favor we do for a friend ever worth being named in a felony indictment? Again, just ponder on that question. This case involves an attorney, a register of deeds, and the court system. Once a fraudulent document enters the legal stream, it leaves a paper trail that points directly back to the notary's stamp. And that again, you are going to be acknowledged based on the stamp that identifies you as the notary in that transaction. So be very careful of what it is that you're notarizing. If it seems too good to be true, once again, think about it. If you have that gut feeling like something may be wrong, you may just need to just say, I am not comfortable with this, and I'm gonna have to decline to move forward, and let them know that they are going to have to take it to another notary or to an attorney because you want to make sure you're protecting yourself. And again, we're here to actually make sure we're protecting the public from forgery and fraud. All of this plays a part in this scenario. Forgery was done, fraud was done. So everything, again, was unlawful, willful, and feloniously done. So you want to make sure that you're not caught up in the middle of this type of mess. So when it comes to the key takeaways in prevention, you want to remember these things. Demand personal appearance. There's no exceptions. Verify identity. Never take someone's word for a signature. Never. And then resist influence. Solicitation is a crime. Don't be a victim of it. When it comes to Miss Carolyn Stone, how can we avoid what she got caught up into? So you want to never notarize again a signature if the signer is not standing in front of you. The singular failure was the basis for the aiding and abetting charge. Be aware that people may try to solicit, influence, and induce you to break the rules for their own gain. And then the document involves real property. Like the warranty deed in this case, the scrutiny will be intense. So again, you want to make sure you're taking the time to pay attention to all of these um, clues and red flags that may come about. So the conclusion: protect your commission, protect the public. The Parias case in Robeson County reminds us that our stamp is not just a rubber seal, it is a gateway to property rights. When we fail to guard that gate, we facilitate forgery, theft, and fraud. Let's stick to the law every single time because that's what we're supposed to do. So, to actually close on this particular topic, think of a notary as the security guard of a bank vault. The vault contains the public's property rights, like the deed in this case. The personal appearance requirement is the key to that vault. If you, the security guard, had the key to a stranger or a friend without checking their ID at the door, you weren't just being nice, you are an accessory to the robbery that follows. Don't hand over the key. So I hope you guys really have taken, I hope this got your attention for one, but also understand that things can happen easily where someone wants to take advantage of us because they know us. We're good friends or we family, but we have actually swore an oath or affirmed to actually do our due diligence and to follow the letter of the law. So if you don't feel that you can do that, this is not the position for you because you are going to get caught up in some things if you are doing stuff that you know is not legal. All right. So you want to always be learning. Take advantage of our Black Friday sale that ends this Friday, December the 5th. You can take advantage of what's to come in the new year to understand different documents, how to notarize properly. There's going to be 16 different documents over a 2-day period on a Friday and a Saturday. And that is the new way that we will be conducting our trainings in 2026. It will be in Greensboro. So for those that are Greensboro that has been asking for us to move trainings closer to your area, I want to see you showing up because I have already locked in an agreement with the hotel that we will be actually training in for the entire year. Okay, so the goal is for you to be able to know that you can schedule time off if you're working a full time job on a Friday to already have it requested off so you can be in attendance because this is going to help you have not only the information what resources to refer back to it when you're talking about how to properly notarize a um, document, excuse me, a certificate of title, which is the MVR 191 form that's commonly notarized because people are always selling a vehicle. And then when someone's purchasing it, they normally go to DMV, but guess what? We can also help them in that case as well. And that's what you will learn in the class is how to not just notarize for a seller that's selling the vehicle, but you'll be able to also notarize for the buyer who needs to actually transfer title into their name. We will go over estate planning documents, the main form. We will also go over the how to handle a situation where someone's signing by mark or has someone designated to sign for them because they're physically unable to do for themselves. There's additional steps beyond 8 that we have to go over to actually make sure we're doing everything correctly. And then the next set of documents will cover court documents. As you may have seen some court documents, there's a space for you to notarize, but it's not a clear space without encroaching on other type. that's printed on the form, but you can do it anyway. So we'll go over how to conduct those types of notarizations as well as how to notarize real estate documents with the examples of a general warranty deed, as well as a loan modification. So those are the things that you guys can look forward to actually learning and actually growing from, building your confidence in my training program in the new year. So for those that have taken the classes within the last year or 2 years, maybe now three, because we're actually extending time that we've actually been doing this. A lot of you all have been very well established now, are excelling, and I am so proud of you because you have actually taken the time to pay attention and do exactly what the public needs you to do, is be confident and be ready and available to actually notarize documents for them because only we can do that. So we're going to turn everything back to you guys and see what questions do y'all have. All right, let's see. We have Miss Vicky.
Can you go back to the slide that listed the 4 things that were wrong, please?
The slide that had what now? The anatomy of the four
The 4
steps.
things, yeah,
Okay, let me go back to that for you.
that one.
Okay. Now, did you have questions or did you just want to do a screenshot? Is that all you needed, Ms. Vicky? Was this to have a screenshot of it, or you had questions?
Yes. Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
But while I'm on the mic, I will at least put a plug in for your class. I had to do a notarization yesterday where the person had had a stroke and she could barely hold her pen, so it ended up being sort of a signature by mark, sort of kind of all over the page. But yeah, it was. She was trying to do her initials, and it sort of worked.
Okay.
But she put in the journal the same way, so we had the same miserable scribble both places. And yes, I did put the little statement in the on the notary certificate.
You already know about
Thank
the
you for
app.
having that in
Okay,
the
Miss
class.
Vicky. So that's what you can gain is knowing how to properly notarize a signature by mark because it's not us simply identifying a signature and moving forward with our notarial act. There's more to it. So the goal is for you to know exactly what is expected of us. Many people again sleep on us being notaries, feeling like, oh, you only have to notarize a signature and that's basically it. And it's so much more involved, especially again when you think about having to take an oath in any regard. You have to take an oath when you're actually in any public official position. As a military personnel, you have to also take an oath to be a part of the register of deeds. You also have to take an oath of office. There are so many different positions that an oath is required because they want us to understand when we take and facilitate that role, we have a huge responsibility to hold. And when you're thinking about protecting people from forgery and fraud, it's happening every second of the day and night. So we do the best we can to be the extra set of eyes in the position that we hold. Again, it's very important. You hold a valuable position. So please do understand that. You guys are we all have such a huge responsibility. And as long as we actually understand the law, follow the law, we'll be protected by the law. So we just want to make sure that we are doing the best we can with the abilities of what we have access to actually make things work for us so we can actually be there for the people who again rely on us when it comes to our competence as well as us being able to pay attention to detail and making sure that we're doing things honestly. So this is going to be something again I hope you guys can actually um, learn from to actually know that you can avoid this very easily by paying attention to what's happening around you, in front of you, and just actually feeling that gut feeling that's trying to talk to you. Okay, don't ignore it and pay attention to something is not right. So that you don't have someone soliciting you to do something that you should not be doing as a notary public. And there's a lot of criminals out there that will bait us to do things. You get emails all the time, you get text messages all the time. Those are not the people that you want to do business with. All right. Not all money is what? Good money. So just be very, very cautious of those things. All right, guys, the floor is open. Talk to me. Let me know what you're thinking, what experiences you may have that may be similar, because who knows? I know there's some stories out there. Yes, Dave.
The court case you showed us, the defendant was the woman who came to the notary. But what the notary did things wrong also. What's the potential penalty for the notary in this case?
She's probably going to get her commission revoked versus suspended. And she may have some community service to do. I would hate to think that they will put her in jail or prison, but I don't know. That is something that is a story that's still developing.
I looked her up on the confirmed notary status on the Secretary of State's website, and she's unfortunately still shown as having an active commission. And
She does.
knowing what she's involved in, I wouldn't want to walk into her and have her notarize anything for me, but they
Well,
aren't reflecting anything yet.
and that may, so just remember, the Secretary of State is not quick on a lot of things. However, it does not mean that she's not able to perform, because she's under investigation, so she legally can't do anything else. I don't know exactly what her situation is, if she's in custody, if there's someone that's actually monitoring anything. She's probably not a flight risk, but again, that is something that I will be following, and I can give y'all updates. And of course, you can actually look into it too. But again, most court cases do take a few months when you're dealing with prison time, because there's so much more that has to be also discovered. Because again, the person's innocent until proven guilty, right? So this is no different. And because she is a part of the association with this crime, that's the reason why she's been actually exposed in this way. So yeah, that is going to be interesting on exactly what the end results will be to her commission.
Can I ask a question on a completely different subject?
You sure can.
When remote electronic notarization becomes active, what is the mechanism by which a document move that's going to have remote electronic notarization, how does the document move from the originator to the principal to the notary, and then from the notary back to the principal or the originator?
Okay, so an example, you may have a real estate document that is actually originated from the law firm, okay, because they're the one who's drafting the documents. When you're dealing with property, you have the attorney that's always involved, whether they're actually physically there or not, they're part of the process. And when you're dealing with electronic documents, you're going to have the notary and the principal signer on the screen at the same time. So the originator may be the person who again drafted the paperwork, and that's usually in a physical document as well. You're really paying attention to the signer of the document and the notary who's going to notarize it, with the provision of what it's supposed to look like would be you being possibly the signer, me being the notary, and we're on a platform similar to this where it's recorded, and me being able to properly identify you by you actually showing me your ID to your camera. The software that should be in place should be based on biometrics, where it can read like the back of your ID, because there's things that we can't read with our naked eye. So it's a barcode that can be screened by any platform that has the ability to do so, to actually give validation of it being a real ID. When it comes to it not being a fake one. Now, it could be a fake ID in a sense where you are not who you are, but it's a real ID because it was made by a machine that makes those real IDs when it comes to just state issued IDs or driver's license. But that will be the process, would be us both being at a device, actually going through the process remotely and allowing the software to actually do the scanning and the provisions that we couldn't do because we're not face to face in person. So that would be the idea of how that should work out. And of course, we'll have an electronic stamp and signature to actually apply, which will be matching to our original written signature as a notary public. The signer can make whatever type of signature they want within their software for their creation of a signature. That is an option for them to freely do, but for us, it will be based on what our real signature looks like with a wet signature, which should be our commission signature. And that would be what will be created in that software when it's completed with the signer, you actually signing it electronically, and then me ending it with me actually notarizing the notarial certificate to complete the process. Did I answer your question?
So I think so. You're saying that part of a feature of the communications platform is that it can transport the electric document between the parties who it has to go to, and it will be there for the principal to sign, and then it will be there for the notary to do what they need to do and attach the certificate and their electronic stamp. And it's a feature of the communications platform. I didn't know how this works because I don't know that much about the electronic notary. And last night I attended the chat that the Secretary of State had, and one of the things that they said when they were talking about identification in REN, they said the identification verification may or may not be part of a particular communications platform. And if it's in there, then the notary can do it all within that platform, but they might have to use some other service or platform for the identification verification. But it sure sounded to me like a nice feature for everything to be in there, because then you only have to deal with one service provider.
And I agree to a degree, because you don't want anyone to be a monopoly. But right now, everything is actually not confirmed yet. So, yes, with what the Secretary of State went over with their notary chat last night, it was more of a preliminary of what may actually be the outcome. So, that's something that we're still waiting to see on how that actually is going to pan out. The scenario I gave was something similar to DocuSign. If you've ever electronically signed anything, just to sign it, it didn't have nothing to do with notarizing it. That would be the same concept.
Cool. Thank you.
Belinda, based on the 2 times I've heard Ozzy speak on this, last night and then in the meeting we were in August, the difference between North Carolina doing REN and RON, which is what some other states do have, and this is the important part, and I don't know that they've said this very clearly out loud, is the electronic transfer, right? So with REN, all of that is captured and held within that platform that they're talking about. So there isn't a document, right? There isn't a document that is being passed, or I have a document and I want to have it notarized by you, and we're going to do it, online, right? So that is not what this is. This is the electronic, like you're saying, like a DocuSign, like, so it would be a lawyer's office, a real estate, mortgage, right? Somebody who has paid for this platform, created the electronic document, or uploaded through the electronic space, right? Not having it be, and when I say the word uploaded, I don't mean like a scan, physically, right? And that is the key difference between when you talk to other states or you listen to other areas. If you are on, other loan signing discussions and other things where they're talking about Ron, and they're talking about being able to remotely notarize, right, online. That's different than what North Carolina is proposing. And I just want clarity. And it would be great if Ozzy could put together a matrix and be like the differences between Ron and Ren, right? Because what I'm hearing, unfortunately, is people saying, "Oh, well, they just call it Ren, but it's the same. It's the same as Ron." But it isn't. It isn't. And that now again, right? Maybe I'll end up being wrong. One could only hope, because I actually do hope. I actually do hope I am wrong. But based on my 2 meetings that I have sat and listened to, and the documents I've read, and my background in IT, he is fully speaking about an enclosed platform to host the electronic documents, and that that is different than Ron. So I'm glad you brought that up, Dave. I wanted to touch on that as well and make sure everybody understands that difference, even though it isn't here yet. So we're just speculating, but based on what I've heard him say, I feel confident in feeling that that is the direction he is going based on what he has stated.
Yes, and you are right, Mara. So the difference also is that in other states, you don't have to have an electronic notary um, training that is going to be added to your
Some of them,
commission.
right.
Yeah,
Some
so a
do,
lot,
some
some
do,
do.
but
Okay,
it also could be just a right here, take this class, and
right.
right, right. But I just wanted to be clear with that, especially with all your folks here, making sure that they do understand, because that does mean stuff like car titles or powers of
Oh, that's
attorney
definitely going
or
to happen.
stuff, right? Those things aren't going, right? We're talking about a potentially a loan signing agent type activity that has started with a real estate or a lawyer's company, right?
Hmm.
That has paid for that platform, created it, and now you're going to just be a party, just a party to that activity.
Hmm.
You're not going to be an independent, Belinda
You're still going to be
can right, but independent in the space that, Belinda, you're a person, you call me, you need something notarized, right? It's going
right.
to
We
go
can't do that.
through,
Hmm.
right? We can't do that. So and other states can. So I
Right.
just want everybody to understand that, because that is a huge difference, and I see it almost every day discussed online, and people are wrong. They are flat out wrong.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the one of the reasons why that irritates me as an independent notary, as you all are
Hmm.
trying to run your own businesses, I want as many opportunities as possible to earn, right? And to protect my business. And I feel if other states can do that, then there's nothing preventing, let's say, Rocket Mortgage from using another state, having their notaries notarize our folks in North Carolina. There's nothing that would prevent that from happening. And so it would be up for all of us notaries to understand this and start raising our hands, possibly, to the Secretary of State or in these conversations we see online, so that more people can be educated and they can understand, they can understand this. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I would just like to have a deeper conversation, especially when it comes to something that could potentially prohibit what I can earn as a notary, right? The amount of clients I can have, and the amount of money that everybody on this call can earn.
So with that, and that is something that we will discuss later, as I will be scheduling a meeting with Ozzy directly, um, where I'll be using the Notary Association to actually communicate with him on this concern, because it is a huge concern. They have not brought it up. I don't know if he even actually recognized that could be an issue. So, with that being said, I've already talked to his assistant of communications who says, yes, you need to talk to Ozzy, because I don't think he's actually thought about that to that degree. So that is something that we will be discussing, because just like Myra have actually shared, and her concern in mine is that we have a potential situation where we've been wanting remote electronic notarization to be here in North Carolina for years. If we actually do get the approval and there is a company that is taking position, they don't all have to take a position here for the $5,000 if they can actually set up in the state of Texas, Florida, or any other state that does RON, and actually do business with consumers, which is the general public here, where us as notaries cannot actually take on that opportunity to actually remotely notarize for anyone in our state or the US, because of that situation the legislation has put up for the $5,000. And Secretary of State Marshall specifically made sure she let us know at the e-mortgage conference that that was not their decision. The legislation did that, which is the House and the Senate, when it comes to how they make laws. Okay, so there's a lot of things that we as notaries will benefit from to actually, you don't have to be political, you just need to be aware. And when it comes to voting, know who you're voting for, know exactly where their, ideas align with yours or without yours. You need to know who is been in these seats making these decisions, where again, it does actually directly affect us in this regard. So the more that we can actually be involved, the better. North Carolina Notary Association had actually been very involved earlier on when it came to working with a lobbyist to actually help us get our fees increased from $5 to $10. That was the North Carolina Notary Association, as well as mileage being able to be now charged for. Again, the North Carolina Notary Association is doing a lot of things behind the scenes, and this is why we encourage everyone that is a notary in North Carolina to become a member. As a member, you're helping us with our fees to actually be able to actually be in places like these meetings that is part of the legislation, which I was a part of, to actually see who's talking and who's doing whatever in the crowd, and just taking some notes. So this is something, again, when it comes to us having committees, we need more people to fit in the committees. We have the committee chairs, which is the leader of that committee, that can help us in a bigger way when it comes to your ideas, what you can bring to the table for that particular committee. So again, there's a lot that you guys can benefit from, and please think about it this way. If you have a resume on LinkedIn, if you have a resume that you're sending to a law firm or any other company you want to do business with, I think it will look really great for them to see that you are a member of the North Carolina Notary Association, representing you as the state notary. Feel when it comes to how that can actually work in your favor. So it's just a matter of just knowing that this is a huge opportunity when it comes to you participating and being a part of something that you are an actual part of. And this speaks volumes when people see that documented. So that is something, again, you can think about. A new year's coming, Lord willing, and we can prepare for success in 2026 in many ways. All right.
Belinda, I want in on that part, so please put my name in a volunteer space. I don't, I know how to make a PowerPoint with all the jazz. So um, everybody should, this is a big deal, and I want to help. So please, I volunteer in any way that you can use my vast 25 years of corporate experience. Please do.
Well, I'm gonna put the website here so you guys can actually go straight to it.
Yep.
There is a way that you can sign up when it comes to what you want to actually participate in. So
But
this is an
this
opportunity.
one is a big deal. This is everybody on this call should be a bit, and if you didn't quite understand and you want to talk to me, I don't know, Belinda, if you want to, but
Love it. This is
I'll
what
give
this
my
platform is
opinion.
for.
Yeah, I will give my opinion on this. And because I'm on calls for other groups like this one for nationwide type things. In North Carolina, we can not, our opportunities to earn are not as great as other states. And
Right.
I am really concerned that, especially with this outsourcing ability, once we have this in, we are going to lose the opportunity, and that opportunity is going to go to other states, and other states that notaries aren't paid as well in. So
So let me say this, a correction. They're
go ahead.
already doing it. They have already
They
been
are.
doing
Oh,
it.
I know
So
that. I'm
so it's
on the
all about
calls.
understanding it's going to
Yeah.
continue on if we do not do something
I think
different.
it'll be greater. I think it'll be greater because right now a lot of those smaller real estate and lawyers, they're right, but once this gets moving, they will, and they'll be like, oh no, we can already do that. I was in a meeting today, right? So my women's networking group, and I was talking about, so I'm in a women's networking group where I meet with real estate agents, mortgage lenders, insurance folks. So I'm there, right, trying to sell me, and not only me, but all of us, right, as independent notaries, as people that can come and do this type of service. And one of the mortgage lenders told me that they're now doing, and she said Zoom. I don't know if she was just using Zoom as a word like a Kleenex, right, or a Band-Aid, but she used it as a term, and she said they're doing same days, right, with the notary. And I said, well, you can't do that in North Carolina because, right, we can't do that. Well, they're just using a notary from another state,
Exactly.
which they can do. So
Yep.
here I am standing in front of this person trying to sell my how, right, why it matters to be
Right.
me, right, to have me, and there's somebody just in another state, Arizona, going ahead. So
Thank you for that, Myra. So
I'll get
again,
off
guys,
my soapbox. Dave, I'll blame you for getting me on my soapbox on this,
now
but
me and Myra talked about this earlier today, guys. So yeah,
this is the soapbox item for me. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I want us to have every opportunity that we possibly can to earn as
I
notaries, right?
agree. So yes, for those that have not joined as a member of the North Carolina Notary Association, the link is here. For those that don't know, I am the president right now for the association. Re-election is next year, and I will be actually moving forward in this position unless someone else wants to challenge the position. That is always open to other notaries to actually be nominated. So just keep that in mind. And again, this is for all executive board members. Our reelection is in 2026. Our conference is in May, so around that time frame is when we will actually announce our new board members or current board members or some of both. So that is something again you can actually look forward to having the opportunity to participate in. We do encourage again memberships, those to actually show up to be there because there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to actually start to actually enjoy when it comes to being a notary because you have a notary family, you have community, and this is something that I do my best to bring to fellow notaries is community. And I thank you guys for those that do participate, those that actually don't mind sharing your experiences, as well as helping other notaries when they have questions. If there's a question asked, it's because they don't know the answer, or at least they're trying to get pointed in the right direction of where the answer lies. So if you can tell them, oh, it's general statute, blah, 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 then you should be able to share that. So now it's factually known and not just your opinion. That is something that I see too much happening right now in a lot of groups is people expressing their opinions, causing a lot of confusion. And when it comes to misstating anything, that's going to cause problems for another notary who is now taking your word for fact and now going to go out there and mess up something because they didn't take the time to actually look into it for themselves to find information a little bit more to actually know for sure. So this is one of the things that I do challenge you all to do is when you respond with an answer, go to the source to let them know where you're citing it from. Okay, just like when you were in high school or college writing a paper, instead of plagiarizing, we had a site where we got the information from. It wasn't a problem with us actually adding the information as far as research, but we had to give people credit where credit is due. This is no different. So you want to make sure you're giving credit to the general statutes, the administrative code, and our manual because their sources are there. We just need to help other people know how to find it because some people just don't have a gift, and it's okay. We all are gifted in certain areas, and it's not a punishment for us to actually make someone feel less than because they don't know what they don't know. It's a goal for us to lead by example by just being a helping hand. Being kind goes a long way, and it doesn't take much to do that. All right. So, any other comments, questions? Dave, I see your message. Thank you for that. So I will be going back to look into that case again. I know that there is a lot more coming, and I do have people in the area that I can actually count on to help me with some more information firsthand. So that is something I am looking forward to. Ms. Vicky and then Dave and then
Oh,
My
Ingrid.
question may be mine may be what Dave was going to ask about. They mentioned on the notary chat that the procedure for getting a seal in the future will be to turn in your commission certificate like we do now, and they're going to also verify it on the Secretary of State site. Okay, sounds all well and good. When I got my commission, I was able to order my certificate the next day. Dave has learned the hard way that Secretary of State's office is very delinquent on getting you listed on their notary site, which means notaries may be waiting a month or 2 months to get a new
Yeah.
seal, and that may even apply to renewals as well. What provision are they going to do so we aren't sitting here with no seal in hand, but we have a valid commission? And I'm thinking of renewals as well, because if you wait till the T-minus 1 week, you could be without a seal for quite some time.
So they give us
And Dave, you may have more information on this.
so with that being said, as far as the delay, you have 10 weeks the most that you can actually go ahead and recommission by going online and actually taking the exam and going through the same
No,
procedures.
wrong question. They've already done the oath. They've already been to debt commission to the Register of Deeds. They
No,
already
I
have
hear
the
what you're saying, Vicky. What I'm trying to actually allude to is the fact that before you get to the point of actually doing your oath and it's close to the time for you to actually your commission to end or expire for your that term, it's going to be very important for you to start doing things in advance as quickly as you possibly can on the 10-week um, leading to the expiration date. That is going to be the best way to do it. Right now, he's going to just have to wait, call the Secretary of State and say, hey, I actually submitted my application on this day. I'm trying to see exactly what's happening with my appointment letter. So that way they can actually now intentionally look for his, because they're going to have a whole stack right there, but they're going to look through and try to find his because he's the one on the phone. And now they're going to actually take some provisions to make sure they go ahead and put it through when it comes to making sure he gets it very soon. That to me is the best way of doing it. It's unfortunate they are again short staffed. So with that being what they're saying, we have to work with what we can work with. It's out of our control outside of going through the process of taking the class, passing it, doing the application, having it notarized, mailing it in, and then calling to follow up to see what's going on with the status of the appointment letter being emailed to us. So now we can do our due diligence to go to the Register of Deeds office to be sworn in. That is the
I'm
best
talking
answer
about
I
the
can give.
time period. I'm talking about the time period after the Register of Deeds has done their oath, and you have a
So
certificate in your hand.
that
That's what they're
validates you.
stuck
You don't
at.
have,
That's why they're
but that's the thing. You are now validated when you have the certificate in hand. It doesn't matter when they actually put it online. That don't have nothing to do with your commission actually showing in writing that you can actually move forward to actually notarize the next document. That's what that
but
means.
you can't order a seal though without them looking you up on the Secretary of State's website, and they're not loading it to the website. That's
But
the
that has
problem.
not taken effect yet. So hopefully hopefully, when that does happen, this won't be a delay. And again, we have to see how that may happen for other people next year when they actually put this in place as far as law is concerned. So I can't answer those questions. No one can answer that right now until we actually go through the first process of someone being able to actually now having to go through the vendor selected for the sale to be ordered from. So then once we get to that point and there's a complaint, now we got to figure out why there is a delay. So again, future wise, that could be something we can start actually looking toward to make sure we're staying on top of that if we see someone actually inquiring about it. But right now, none of that has happened yet. So until we are again have the guidelines with all the information, then we just have to pose certain questions to the Secretary of State for them to actually know that is a concern. And of course, if they're going to lead to that being part of the law, then they have to make sure they're doing the provisions on their end to not put a notary in a position where they can't move forward because it's not fair to anybody when they have the control over us in that way. Ingrid, you had your hand up.
Okay, no questions. You already answered my question.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, Dave, did you have another question?
Well, I just wanted to share some other information about what the notary has been charged with in the case that you were discussing earlier. According to
Okay.
the Robesonian newspaper, the notary was charged with fraudulent notarial certificate by a notary public, notarizing an acknowledgement without appearance or proper identification with intent to commit fraud, aiding and abetting forgery, and taking an acknowledgement without satisfactory identification. The notary was given a $10,000 secured bond, which is twice the bond that the other person received, and placed in custody of the Robeson County Detention Center. I don't know whether she's still there or she got bonded out. So it doesn't sound good.
Nope, it sure doesn't. So again, you're talking about a 73-year-old that is dealing with this, okay? And it's something that because of her is she knows the rules, she knows the laws, and she got to abide by them. When it comes to being a public official, it doesn't have any age requirements outside of being 18 and older, and it just means that you got to follow the rules every single time. So yeah, that's a lot. And we have Monica. You had your hand raised.
I was just gonna speak about what Miss Vicky was saying. What Ozzy did say was that if there was a lapse due to the high demand, anything that I believe he was saying, anything that came in would be able to be taken care of and would be executed. But if you did not come in at a certain time and it was not executed by a certain time, then you would still have adjustment to be made. So it's going to be to the point where they're going to be able to give you something that can give that you'll be able to have for your sale at a reasonable time. I believe that's what's going to take place. I have to look back at the transcript, but I believe that was one of the things that he was saying.
Okay. So yeah, those things, the notary chat that they did online yesterday with WebEx, they are going to have that as a recording replay in due time. Again, all that takes time when it comes to editing and things like that. So we probably will see it before the end of the year. They're pretty good when it comes to their IT team doing a lot of that. So again, that's something that if you missed it, you do want to actually replay it because it was a lot of great information shared during that time in the meeting. It was like an hour, maybe 15 minutes long. So again, it was really great, and I'm hoping that they will do more other notary chats virtually, so that way many of you can actually join because we're in different places of North Carolina. It's not always easy to go to a notary chat that's not in your local area. So doing it online just makes it much easier for everybody to be a part of knowing what's happening. Before we leave tonight, again, as a reminder, we have the Black Friday sale for all of the training classes and coaching sessions next year. I already have 2 sold for the first and second quarter. There's 1 more remaining for the first and second quarter, leading to the third and the fourth quarter of the year. So, again, take advantage of the savings because the price will be going up after the new year for the coaching. So, you can actually, again, save as well as make a payment plan with Afterpay where you don't have to pay bi-weekly payments. You can do it by per the month from 6 to 12 months, and it is financed. However, it is another way that you can actually take advantage of investing in your education, your growth potential as a notary public, and a business owner as well. So again, I enjoy what I do and what I've been able to create for notaries because I understand the need. I also understand that everybody's in different spaces, and I believe in meeting you where you are. So it's here if you want to actually take advantage of it. If you have any questions, you have my email, you have my phone number. So again, I'm available to be reached, and if I cannot respond immediately, I will respond as soon as I can. I do have to prepare for my 8 o'clock business training class that's coming up. For some of you that's there in the class, so that's another thing you can look forward to next year is not just having the notary classes, but having the business classes that can help you with your marketing, your branding, all the things that will help a business owner get started and you learning how to maintain it so you can thrive along the way. So thank you guys for your participation. And I look forward to actually seeing you guys next Tuesday at the same time. Again, any other questions before we leave? I'll take that as a no. So I guess I will say
Hi,
good night.
Belinda, this Joy.
Oh, hey, Joy.
How you doing?
I'm good.
I just wanted to share. This is the second time I was contacted by DC when someone completed took their documents to DC to get apostilled.
Mm-hmm.
They called me to see if that was legit. I don't know why they contacted me, but this particular person, I did make notes in the journal.
Mm-hmm.
And that particular person signed the document prior to coming to me to get it notarized. And I made that note in there in addition to letting her know that she had to redo it because the name on her ID was different from what's on the document. So all of
Oh,
those, yeah, so all of those details I made on there, and I informed the agent that contacted me what was done, and I told them that it was corrected. So it is very critical that you make all the notes in your journal. So if you do get a call, you'll have something to refer to. So this was the second time this happened to me.
okay. So I'm glad that they are trying to make sure they're preventing fraud in that way. So them calling is a step showing that they're trying to prove the legitimacy of someone's as a notary public. Again, you want to make meticulous notes when you're actually writing in your notary journal. I pray that you all are using a journal. If you haven't purchased a journal yet, I got you covered in that area too. So if those that may want to actually get a journal, I have a journal made specifically for notaries in North Carolina, and also have shared it where notaries throughout the U.S. can actually have a their version of their state or other designs. So you can take advantage of that. But I would look forward to seeing you guys again next Tuesday, and those that will be with me at 8 o'clock in a few minutes. All right. So I'm going to say good night and talk to you guys later.